What's up, everybody? Welcome to another WNBA stream. I am looking forward to these week after week because the WNBA season has been so good and we are going down to the wire. Like, I know we say that a lot of years and we say that almost every season. Oh, it could be the last few games, but this year, when we talk about seeding, when we talk about the playoff matchups, all of these things, MVP races, Rookie of the Year races, we're going to talk about all of that today because literally in the final weeks of the season, some of these awards will be revealed in the sense of who's the front runner and also who's making the playoffs. We're going to have to talk about all of that. So, little rundown of everything that we're going to go through today. We're going to try to cover a lot of topics, and I'm going to share all my thoughts and feelings and opinions on all of these topics. So let's start with the most important, the biggest storyline that everyone is paying close attention to. That is the MVP race. Who is going to be MVP? Did we try to give the MVP award away too early in the season? Is there a new front runner? Does Alyssa Thomas even have a chance? There are so many questions within the question of who will be MVP this season. So, for me, it's down to three. It is down to three players: Napheesa Collier, A'ja Wilson, and Alyssa Thomas. And I think you can make cases for all three of those players. I'll do that. I'll make a case. Napheesa Collier is having a career season. She is the best player on the best team. She is the leading scorer in the league. She has proven to show that she cannot be easily stopped or easily guarded. It is a joy to watch her play basketball. The caveat to that is, or I guess the negative thing you can say, her team was still very much winning without her. When she was injured, her team was still good. Like, does that still make her the best player on the best team? That's a little asterisk that people have thoughts of. The other thing is injuries across the board. All of these players have missed time with injuries. And prior to this point, the most games missed by an MVP was Jonquel Jones when she won the MVP in 2022. She only missed 5 games. Fee was out for almost 3 weeks. So that is something to consider. Now, when we look at A'ja Wilson, who's currently in second place when we think of betting odds, she had 67 first place votes. She was unanimous MVP last season. Can she win her fourth MVP award this season? How crazy that would be. It could happen. We're going to talk about it later in the show, but the streak that the Las Vegas Aces is on right now, that was our only thing to say for A'ja Wilson to not be an MVP. We were like, well, her team isn't winning, so she's maybe the best player in the league, but the record isn't showing it. Now we can't say that anymore. They're in second place. Somehow they went from eighth to second. It's crazy. A'ja Wilson is now shooting the three-pointer. She has been dominant on both ends of the floor. You can, of course, make cases for A'ja to win the MVP. Third is Alyssa Thomas, which these odds are crazy. 8,000. Alyssa Thomas has the most triple doubles by any WNBA player in a single season. And the person that she passed was herself. She had 5 before, now she has 6. It's crazy. I believe actually she has 7 now. She has 7. Triple doubles. She is nearly averaging a triple double. She has put up so many nights with 15 plus assists. It has been a show, and she has talked about how she feels disrespected in this league, that nobody will do this type of season unless she does it again. And it's unfortunate that she is playing at a current time with Napheesa Collier and Asia Wilson. It's unfortunate that all three of those players are at their time. I want to put up this poll because if the season was ending today, who would be your MVP? There is still time for there to be some separation. But if it ended today, straight up, would it be Napheesa Collier, Asia Wilson, Alyssa Thomas, or we can throw in Sabrina Ionescu in there because she has also been having a great year for the Liberty. But I think there has been some separation between the top of considerations to who could be taking home the MVP award. I was also asked, the question of could someone else kind of throw a wrench in this plan and steal some of the votes. Last year, Asia was unanimous, and it was undoubtedly that she was going to be the MVP award winner. So nobody took away her first place votes. But second place votes, Fee got all of those, a few stragglers. Caitlin Clark even got some votes. Could there be somebody else that steals some of these votes that maybe makes the race even closer? Possibly. I think that the people in the media who have the vote, they know who the top ones are. So maybe for those second place, maybe those third place votes, but from the first place votes, I think it's going to come down to the three players that we were mostly talking about: Fee, Asia, and AT. Couple people in the chat. Robbery if she doesn't win it. Asia Wilson. I don't know. I don't know. I'm pushing for AT. The media don't want her to get it. I am very much consider myself a part of the media. I think we would love for AT to get an MVP award to really showcase this season. I think people who are pulling for AT the most is people who have the main argument of, can you be an MVP? Can you win this award with missing a significant amount of time? I think that is a huge piece to this that I don't think we're talking about enough. Are we just going to ignore that fact? Are we not going to talk about that? Does that factor in at all? But when you look at Napheesa Collier and her team is at the first spot, like that has to also be a consideration. So I don't have a vote this year, and I am actually very happy about it because it is very stressful on who the MVP award is going to go to. Now let's move on to the other award that I think is a little more clear. And I think that it was a race there, touch and go at the beginning of the season, or kind of even towards the middle of the season, maybe, with the Rookie of the Year conversation. But Paige Bueckers, that girl is cold. She is cold. A pure bucket getter. And even if there was, some talk of maybe it's between Paige and Sonia Citron, that 44-point game where she shot 80% from the field, 17 for 21, 4 for 4 from the three-point line, and they still lost. Just a tough situation in Dallas. But what Paige was able to do to show that she is so mature basketball wise, it silenced any debate that she should not be Rookie of the Year. Paige has been doing this from the beginning of the season. She has broken so many WNBA records. Let's just rattle these off. WNBA rookie single game scoring record. That's what we talked about, that 44 points. Previously held by Cynthia Cooper, who that was the first year of the WNBA. In 1997, she was 34 years old. Technically, everybody was a rookie, but still, this is a really, really big feat. First player in league history with a 40-piece on 80% from the field. Insane. Highest scoring game of the year. This is our only 40-point game of the season so far, which the past couple years we've had multiple. So that's a little shocking. Most 20-point two steal games by a rookie guard. She's also playing some defense. Why not? Most points in a game this season, like we talked about. Paige Bueckers has been able to show everyone that she is not only great for a rookie class, but she's also sitting atop scoring for the whole league. I think that's another conversation that we don't really have when we're talking about maybe the comparisons between her and Sonia Citron. Sonia Citron has been doing amazing, and I knew it. I was on this very broadcast when we talked about it on draft night. Me and Natasha Cloud were here, and I said Sonia Citron is pro ready. She is a pro. She is so smooth with it, and she's efficient, and she doesn't do too much. She just comes in, clocks in, does her job, and leaves. And she has been making franchise records look easy. She is an all-star, her and Kiki Iriafen. But there's just a difference between like, yes, the Rookie of the Year award, you're the best of the rookies, but Paige is one of the best in the league, period. She has already proven that. And she is going to only get better. And imagine if she had a great coach and really good teammates surrounding her. What a thought. I think we're in for a treat to see Paige Bueckers in the next few years just continue to develop. But to me, she is the Rookie of the Year favorite by far. By far. Okay, now let's talk about this race for the top 8 teams in the playoffs because this has been so fun. And one of those teams is the Indiana Fever, sitting right now, today, as we are recording this, at the 6th spot. So they are in. Somehow, they are still in the playoffs. Can they stay in the playoffs is kind of more of the question. The biggest question surrounding if they will be able to stay is Caitlin Clark coming back? There, in the last game over the broadcast, Debbie Antonelli, who is the analyst for the Fever, I love her dearly. She kind of offhandedly mentioned, like, could Caitlin come back Friday against the Sparks? And that just made me perk up a bit because why would she say that? Like that seems very specific and we haven't heard anything. The Fever have kept this very close to their chest about Caitlin returning for obvious reasons because they don't want her to return too soon. They don't want her to get re-injured. But recently she has been participating in shoot-arounds. And so that's kind of I think where Debbie was kind of getting that from, like, hey, she's not just showing up to games sitting on the bench. She's actually participating in shoot arounds. So maybe that's hinting that she could be back as early as Friday. But there isn't, the Fever have not said that she's coming back yet. And when Stephanie White was kind of asked about it, I have this quote here. She said, yes, she went through walkthrough yesterday. It was very short prior to the game, but I want to see her in practice, live in practice. I want to see her continue to work to not just build endurance, but to be able to handle contact 94 feet as it's going to be in the game. And to be able to do that and sustain from endurance and sustain from an endurance standpoint, that's going to take multiple practices to make sure that there's no regression. So from the coaching standpoint, she's saying, I don't need to just see it in one practice. I need to see it over and over again to make sure that she is not going backwards and not going to get hurt again. We saw that she came back maybe a little too prematurely earlier in the season, and she hurt her groin again in a game. So it seems like they are just being super cautious. It's their superstar, the face of their franchise. Of course they're going to be. I think that there have been a lot of bright spots in this season for the Fever, despite the injuries that have riddled their team, them winning the Commissioner's Cup, them even still being in the playoffs is going to be a huge win for them despite the Dewana Bonner situation, the injuries, the everything in between. So I think that the Fever are going to get one of those spots. It would be a great story of perseverance for everything. Do I think Caitlin Clark is going to come back? I really don't know. I also have zero expectation of her to come back, be automatically in game shape, be able to just get into the rhythm and then go all the way to the finals. Like that's just way too much to put on somebody who's been out for over 25 plus games. So I don't see that as a likely possibility. But for the other teams that are kind of sitting and racing for those final spots, that's where it gets really interesting because like I said, the Fever are sitting at 6 right now. The Golden State Valkyries are in 7th with 19 wins. The Seattle Storm are sitting at 8th. And then those Sparks, those pesky Sparks, are still on the outside looking in. They have to win games. Like there's just so much playoff contention on the line. Even tonight, you see the Mystics and the Liberty. The Mystics and Chicago have been teams that are playing spoiler. They and Connecticut. Connecticut's on a winning streak. They've won 4 of their last 5. They're like, we have nothing to lose. How about we just shake stuff up and beat these teams that really need these wins right now? So I wouldn't be surprised if the Mystics upset the Liberty, if the Sky upset the Mercury. Like there has just been so much chaos from so many of these teams that are kind of stuck in this middle. Probably from 5 to 9, there is just so much that could still happen in these last few weeks. And I love the teams that are already out of the playoffs. Just like, why not? Why can't we just mess things up? That just makes it more fun. So make sure you are watching all of these games, especially with those teams. If Seattle can turn things around, do they deserve to be in the playoffs? Because they have had such an up and down, inconsistent year, even though NECA is playing out of her mind. Does the Sparks, who are starting to get a flow, Cameron Brink is back. Dearica Hamby's playing well. Rakia Jackson gets me so excited about the future of the WNBA. Kelsey Plum is killing it. Do they deserve to get that last spot because they're peaking at the right time? I don't know, you guys, but it is getting close. It's getting close. It's been fun. Okay, now let's talk about these. Those were the bottom teams that are trying to get in. One of the 2 teams that are clinched is the Las Vegas Aces. And if you would have told me this before All-Star, even after All-Star, even in July, that the Aces would be a 2 seed, I would think you are out of your mind and you have lost it. But they are on a 12 game winning streak. They have not lost since the beginning of August when they got blown out and embarrassed by the Minnesota Lynx by 53 points. Asia Wilson, we know. We know you're that girl. But there were some other things that needed to happen for the Aces to be successful. In my last podcast episode, the Women's Hoop Show, I talked to Kendra Andrews at ESPN. She just wrote a feature story on how the Aces were able to turn this around. And there were a few factors into why they're winning. One, the Aces players were tasked from Becky Hammon to do their own scouting reports. And it wasn't just like, hey, casually do it and it's just your personal scouting report. Each player had to present their scouting report in front of the entire team, think of schemes, and have this ownership of what you're going to do for the team to win. And that accountability has changed the vibe of the team. It was a really smart move for Becky to institute that. You also bring in Alyssa Smith, and now she is really getting a groove. And I feel like they kind of traded her a little before All-Star break, right when they were kind of in the thick of it. And now she really knows her role on this team, and that has been seamless. Jewel Lloyd, rough start to the year, very rough start. Now she's coming off the bench, also knowing her role, being able to just be more solid in what they do. And all that mixed together, plus Chelsea Gray being the Chelsea Gray we're used to, Jackie Young getting a triple double, all of these things together have accumulated to 24 wins and a 12 game winning streak. The, do they go to the finals? Like, is this a championship team? This is the Aces that we thought was going to be from the jump of this season. It just took them a little bit. I thought they were going to figure it out a little quicker, but now they are peaking at the right time. And it has been so cool to see. And they are red hot. Now, their next game, the Minnesota Lynx. The Minnesota Lynx. I will be sat. I will clear my schedule. I can't wait to see how that battle goes down because this is where it all started. This is what started this whole winning streak was the loss to the Minnesota Lynx. Their game and their win last night against the Atlanta Dream was huge because that was for second place, flat out. They played the Sky recently too, and out of their 6 games that were remaining, 3 of them were against the Sky. I don't know what scheduling this is, but if they win against the Lynx, they could win out. They could win until the playoffs start. And what momentum to come into the playoffs than to be on that type of winning streak. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Woo! I that's where you get into the conversation of like, if they don't lose another game, how do you not consider Asia Wilson for MVP? How? How do you not? Oh my gosh. The Aces, I know the fans, diehard Aces fans, you have headaches, you are stressed out because they have really put you through it this season. But this is the team that we knew we could get at some point. It just took a little bit longer, just a little bit longer. Let's go to the chat real quick. Seattle and the Sparks need to play better defense. I love the Sparks chemistry. You heard KP at the end of that buzzer beater win the other, what was that, last week? She was like, we need to play bleeping defense because it's so true. It spells where they just allow teams to go on ridiculous runs. And I think that that is a defensive issue, just like not having the pride of like my person I'm guarding is not going to score on me. Like it's a little bit of that I think the Sparks miss 4 times of games where they just go on too many lulls. I agree. Seattle is the same way. I biggest head scratching situation in Seattle. I don't have the answers. I don't know what's going on. They should, on paper, they should not be an 8th seed team. It's absolutely crazy. Don't like the Aces, but yeah, MVP should be Asia's. Look, I'm with you. I'm with you. I think Fee and Asia should be MVP and AT. Why can't everybody get it? I don't know. Everyone is so good. And what a joy to be a part of the WNBA and watch all of these players in their prime. It's so cool, and I don't take it for granted. The last thing that I wanted to cover quickly is the schedule. The back-to-back schedules have been a huge talking point throughout this season and really a major caveat or point that is going to be brought up in the upcoming CBA that they're going to sign. This whole idea that there have been more back-to-backs, and maybe that has contributed to more injuries and just not a lot of player safety. And that's what you can see here. Satu Sabli, who has not minced words about being a part of the Players Association, what the league has been saying or not doing. And she had this to say. She, in reaction to the scheduling, she said, it's terrible. It's like they don't care about player safety. And this is coming at a time where, yes, they played back to backs, but they also played 4 games in 6 days. That's crazy, you guys. Absolutely wild for this scheduling. And we knew that this was going to happen, and we knew it was going to be a talking point because more games were added to the schedule. That was a huge thing. More games than ever, the WNBA. They did not extend the season. So they put more games in the same amount of time frame. Of course, you're going to have back-to-backs. Of course, you're going to make teams have only 1 day of rest or very little practice. Teams could go weeks without practicing because of the schedule. So you just have to learn on the fly in a game. There is 2 more teams being added next year. It is a huge point in the CBA that with this expansion team of the Golden State Valkyries this season, they did not add more time to the calendar. With 2 more teams added, there is a big push to either extend the season to maybe November or end of October. It's kind of already end of October with the finals exceeding to 7 games this year into November. We can't push it earlier anymore because the draft is already 2 weeks after the national championship game. The number 1 picks for multiple years in a row have been playing in that game. So which way, something's got to give. And the WNBA doesn't typically want to go too much into the NBA season, into football season. Who cares about them? We have to think about the players and player safety and injuries and so many things that are going on that is a causation of back-to-back scheduling games and this wild schedule that has been put in place. And I think the league said, well, you got your charter flights. At least you're not flying commercial anymore. So you should kind of be happy that we're scheduling these games and you have time on your private jet to recover. No, that's not enough. It's not enough time. It's the same argument that NBA players are saying too. It's too many games. Like, do we need to lessen the games? Do we need to spread out the schedule more? It's just been a big talking point. So we'll see what happens in the CBA. Meanwhile, players are just like holding on for dear life, hoping that they are healthy and getting in where they're able to recover. Satu said, we're professionals, so we're definitely going to still play, but we're not happy about it, essentially. All right. Hopefully that answers some questions about the scheduling. Just to recap real quickly, the MVP race is hot. It is between Napheesa Collier, A'ja Wilson, and Alyssa Thomas. It might go down to the very last regular season game on who separates themselves as the MVP this year. Could A'ja Wilson get her 4th? Meanwhile, Napheesa Collier and Alyssa Thomas are gunning for their first MVP award. The Rookie of the Year, it's not a debate. It's the opposite. Paige Bueckers has clearly separated herself. And if there was any talks that it could be Sonia Citron, some people are even putting in Dom Malonga, Kikiria Finn, that 44 piece on 80% shooting. Yeah, you know who the Rookie of the Year is. The race for the playoffs, the top 8 teams. Could the Indiana Fever hold on to that sixth seed, even without their superstar, Caitlin Clark. It was mentioned that she could come back Friday, but head coach Stephanie White said, I want to see her in multiple practices to make sure that she's not regressing. So we'll wait and see when that happens. Maybe that's for the playoffs. Maybe it's not. But hopefully the Fever can hold on. Meanwhile, the Sparks are trying to sneak in. The Storm are trying to hold on for dear life. And the Valkyries are also trying to win their last few games here to solidify their seventh spot. The Las Vegas Aces are the hottest team in the WNBA. They are on a 12-game winning streak. Their next game is against the Minnesota Lynx, which was the last team to beat them. If they get through the Lynx, they have Chicago twice and then the Sparks. Like, they could win out. They could not lose another game this season. Heading into the playoffs, they're already clinched in that second spot. It's going to be so interesting to see how their season pans out because it's already been interesting so far. And then the scheduling with back-to-backs. I know the playoff schedule is also going to be a huge topic of contention. Are the games too close together? Are players even going to be healthy enough to play in a 7-game series? Even though we're really excited about that, are coaches going to bench their stars in those early first rounds just to make sure that they're going to be healthy enough for later in the playoffs? So much that goes into scheduling. It's going to be a huge part of the CBA negotiations. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. I'll be back next week. We'll have more topics to discuss because each week the WNBA gets spicier and spicier, and these standings get closer and closer. So who knows what the standings are going to look like this time next week. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being active in the chat. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you next time.